Hat Thursdays? We don't all have to wear hats.
Good day, Internet.
Good
Hello,
day,
Internet.
What's going on,
Internet.
Internet?
I like these.
But I like
Me-
the once-a-week hat.
Well, you could do visor
nobody's there. I
Thursdays.
keep a hat at the ready.
Oh, that's nice, Rob.
You know, it's just
I
sitting
know
right
you
there.
do, Rob.
Yeah.
I know you
have
do.
a hat.
Oh, what if it's another piece of apparel, like a vest?
A vest?
Why do you do
Vest
that?
Thursdays?
Vest. Well, you need something that starts with like trousers.
Investment
Tuesday.
Thursdays, right? Invest.
Flower Lay Thursdays.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I've got no problem with. I love a theme. I love a theme. That's all. That's all I'm
Thursdays,
saying.
there you go.
It's like
You know?
Spirit Week in high school, where it's like
How
it's
would
Twin
you
Day,
know?
Yeah.
or Pajama Day.
Or like radio station Thursday, where you wear your old like T-shirt that you got as a freebie.
oh, yeah.
That's right. Or like college.
Because everybody's got that one.
I got a
Body
cat.
shorts.
I
I
got
had
a
a college T-shirt
Yes, sir.
on this morning, actually.
What college?
Len, speaking of Hawaiian lays, you look very tropical today.
You know,
Ooh,
yes,
tropical.
I was thinking.
Did you knock over a Trader Joe's?
No, I just thought it's a nice warm day here in Cleveland. I just thought, I want to feel
Famously
a little bit
tropical. We have a strong Ohio representation here.
We
I'm
do.
only
We
putting
do.
it Together. Wow.
nice. Are you from Ohio? You're not from Ohio.
No, but my boyfriend is, so I go there several times a
Oh,
year.
where in Ohio?
They're in Columbus. I think not too far from Robb.
So,
Yeah.
so you have another bonding point with Justin Robert Young, whose wife is from
Yes.
Ohio.
Yeah. From,
Yes, yes. Justin
What the
Robert
heck?
Young-
There's a
I have
lot of
never-
Ohioans.
Ohio is the best.
Ohioans?
It's the heart of it all.
Ohio knees.
Ohio.
Ohioans.
Rob,
Ohio
Yeah.
is a great state to be from, to have lived at once. It's
Ohio
My
is-
great-grandfather was born in Ohio.
There you go.
I
Aren't,
once-
like a lot of presidents.
I once
in
got
Ohio?
stuck in Ohio at the airport.
That sounds right.
I've driven through Ohio.
I
Yeah,
went to
I've
Ohio
cheated on a map.
once to a golf course that was right on the edge of
Forever.
like Detroit. I guess.
Oh, up there.
Yeah,
That's near
wherever it was.
Toledo,
But
right?
I was like, I'm in Ohio.
Okay.
It was fun.
Surprise,
weren't.
Ohio. Who knew?
Sarah
Yeah,
gets to know the country.
That's South Detroit.
Mission. You know, it was when I was. Granted, it was a long time ago. It was the last time I was in Detroit was '84, but I was a kid, and I was like, why does every building inside feel like a lounge?
In
It's just-
Detroit.
In Detroit?
84.
Yeah.
Detroit in the 80s.
It was very
Famously
lounge.
amazing.
Famously
Yeah.
loungy.
I'm sorry, I have to bring this up.
Uh-oh.
The Guardians are playing Detroit. We have
Yes.
beaten them again. This is number 4 in a row. This
And
is
that's all you play for the rest of the season
Yes.
is Detroit, basically, right?
we could take over the AL Central, which
Yeah.
is great,
That's kinda
and
crazy.
sneak our way into the wild card, which would be absolutely amazing. This is crazy.
Y'all could
Crazy
win
baseball.
the division.
That would be
it's
great.
Not likely, but it's possible.
It's possible. We play them another 3 or 4 times, I think, and we're 3.5 out from the Central.
Is this like your best season in a while? I feel like I
No.
don't hear. Oh,
No,
okay. Never mind.
this season we really stunk up. We
Oh.
lost like 10 in a row. It was
This is what I get
bad.
for pretending I understand sports.
No, last
All right.
season was better. This season we're
Oh,
like,
okay.
what happened to that team? And the thing is about last season.
So what's your touchdown exit velocity this year?
Yeah, 7.
what was interesting about last year about our season, the Guardians, was that we had a new manager after Terry Francona, and this guy's first season we had a winning season, so it was really good. So, but this year not so much.
I see.
We're really
So-
kind of clawing our way back into
What's the name of the Detroit team?
Tigers.
The Tigers?
Yeah.
Tigers.
That's because before the European settlers arrived, it was filled with.
Just all tigers.
It was.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tigers.
Detroit
All
was a
Tigers.
city of
North
tigers
American tiger.
back then.
That's right. Yeah.
Tiger Town.
That's where the Tiger King originally
That's right.
Yeah.
hailed from.
That's
And
right.
then he went to Oklahoma because it was cheaper.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and then
What is up with lions and tigers in
Yeah.
Detroit?
Detroit
don't
has
know.
Lions,
What happened to the
Tigers.
Bears?
And the Bears are over in Chicago.
Yeah.
Why are they over there?
Why
Was
didn't they
there a
name?
zoo? Why?
What?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Why didn't they name their?
I think sometimes it's just like a cool mascot. I mean,
Right.
my middle school was the Panthers. Probably not a lot of Panthers in Northern California.
Yeah.
And then
think
my high
Panther-
school was the Tigers.
Wow.
We
a
have
lot of big
Pumas
cats.
though. Pumas.
Pumas.
Do we?
Ocelots.
Yeah.
What about
Mountain
the
lions?
ocelot?
A mountain lion.
I looked up
Puma.
the reason.
Mountain lions, yes.
Well, that's a puma.
Let's hear it, Tom.
Do you, The Detroit Tigers are named after the Detroit Light Guard military unit, which was nicknamed the Tigers for their fierce fighting during the Civil War.
Not as fun as I hoped, I'll be honest.
But not because they were
Yeah.
striped.
Yeah, I
Real
had a
downer.
whole different thing in my head.
Yeah, wow. It's a nice Civil War name. Though my middle school and high school mascot, we were the cadets. So pretty military from the
cadets.
out of the gate.
Cadets.
We were the cadets.
The cadets.
We were the
Both middle school and high school?
Yeah,
That's-
same,
yeah.
which is no fun.
I mean, that was before they had ROTC, so it was sort of like, ooh, that halfway point.
Right.
In Laguna Beach, the name of their team was the Artists, and I always
Wow.
thought that was like,
The artist?
yes,
Laguna Beach is faking whack.
Like they're just painting stuff,
Yeah.
and winning
that
things.
doesn't
They're just
really
having
strike
moods.
fear into
Yeah.
your opponent. Oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna paint you.
There are definitely
The
certain
Greenville
mascots where I'm
Slow
like,
Ones.
what?
Yeah.
Like
The artists.
like Stanford the Cardinal. I'm like, it's not like the Cardinals. It's
We're
just a
gonna
tree.
turn
No,
you
it's the
into
tree.
a
Cardinal.
still
Yeah.
life.
Well, it's a tree monster.
And there's
it's
nothing,
because
listen, I get it, Stanford
It's a
people,
monster.
you're, cooler than me.
And
But
they've tried
I
to
was
make it a
always like,
monster
it's a
later.
tree?
Oh,
Well, it's
weird.
because they were trying to get rid of the problematic previous mascot, and that's the best they came up with.
Which was the
What was it?
person
It
who
was a
selected-
Native
Oh.
American sort of
Oh.
motif.
But that was a long time
Stanford?
ago for
Yeah.
Stanford, too.
Yeah, it's been
Oh
a
my
long
gosh,
time.
I've only known the Cardinal.
Wow.
Yeah. I haven't
like
been
my
paying
sister's
attention.
high school, Lowell High School. They had, I think they had to change.
She went to
their mascot.
Lowell?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why I
Must
think
be
that high
very
school.
smart.
That's why
What
they
was your
say
high
that
school mascot, Roger?
the Downey Knights.
Knights.
So we had the Downey Knights, but the actual mascot, the person who dressed up for the games, they dressed up as a duck.
What?
Obviously.
A knight
we're-
is a very clear costume.
Sometimes,
But so was
yeah,
a duck.
All right.
Sometimes mascots
Listen,
get a little
if
complicated.
that high school was good enough for George Lucas to never mention again in his life, I think.
Rob,
it's
what
the
was
same
your
thing.
high school mascot?
For the school I graduated from, it was the Vikings. The school I played football for was the Raiders.
Ooh, those are both good names.
Those
Wait,
are-
you
yeah,
were
those are-
traded to a different high school to play.
Have a good Levy show, failed. everybody.
Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Thursday, September 18th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Studio 7 in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
From New York City, I'm Andrea Jones-Rooy.
Get a roll.
Drawing the top tech stories from Cleveland, Ohio, I'm Len Peralta.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Oh, DTNS Live is made possible by you. It's powered by you. The streaming, the photons, the audio hitting your ears. It's all thanks to Tony Glass, Philip Less, Howard Yermish, and supporters like you.
Excellent job, guys.
Thank you.
Well, welcome everyone to DTNS Live. We got a packed show today. This is the show where we discuss the tech news to help us all understand it a little bit better. Andrea Jones-Rooy, how you doing?
I am doing great. I'm thrilled to be here. Always great to hang out with all of you. So let's understand some stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Len Peralta,
yeah.
how are you doing in I guess sunny and tropical Cleveland?
It is.
I'm doing well. I'm about to have a Mai Tai. It's going to be wonderful. Lay out in the sun. No, it's
Yeah.
great. It's very warm here today, which is great for late September. So can't complain. Can't complain. Got the nice little.
Whenever I think of Cleveland, I smell coconut. You know,
That's right.
The tropical
be me.
breezes,
It must
the
be
palm
me.
fronds.
What was that Beach Boys song that was about the
Little old lady from
Kokomo?
Pasadena.
Kokomo.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
way
Kokomo.
down in
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio.
Ohio. Ooh, I want it.
Too neat. Coldwater, Zanesville,
and Painesville.
I
Toledo.
literally can't. Cincinnati. I can't name any more Ohio towns.
Oh, there are so many. Robb Dunewood, how is life in Columbus today?
Life in Columbus is good, but I'm kind of upset. Big game came out, Borderlands 4.
Oh, yeah.
And Borderlands has always had just a ridiculously good story. The gameplay is fine, but the story is just meh. So I'm a little
It's
upset.
it's not
it's
snatching
not what
you.
I was expecting.
You got story let down.
Yeah. So it's like
sorry.
I literally the first time I play a game, I try not to skip any cutscenes or anything like that. I just gave up on that because I don't care. I don't care. Just let me get to
That's
the
a
end.
sign of a bad game. Yeah.
Well, everyone, whether or not you are also playing the new Badlands, if you're watching our show right now, you can name our episode. Head on over to dtns.showbot.tv. People will be submitting titles, and you can vote on them and submit your own throughout the show. We'll check back in on the votes at the end of the show. And a reminder, we have an extended show for our patrons. It's going to get weird, but let's kick it off now with a few stories that caught our eye.
The sale of TikTok in the United States is getting closer. The President of the United States issued an executive order extending once again the non-enforcement of the ban on distributing TikTok in the U.S. to December 16th. Now, we've got a framework deal that was announced earlier this week that would transfer control of the app in the U.S., but apparently it's going to take a while to complete that. Wall Street Journal says there would be a new U.S. entity created led by an investment from Oracle. Chinese investors would still own 20%. That would probably be ByteDance owners, maybe ByteDance employees, because right now ByteDance owner co-founders hold 20% and ByteDance employees hold 20%. U.S. users might need to download a new app once this is done, but the algorithm will be licensed from ByteDance. More details are expected to come after a call between the presidents of China and the United States scheduled for Friday.
So that's tomorrow.
Friday.
We will know more at that point.
Question mark?
I
I was thinking we would know more soon until he extended it till December 16th. And I'm like,
16th,
oh, okay,
yeah.
so this is not coming right away.
Yeah, this might just sort of be a posturing. Like we had a phone call and
Things are
we're
agreed to meet again.
agreeing on
Details are
things.
almost there. You're going to be so happy. Yeah.
I'm
I
going
don't
to
know what's
remember
gonna
this
happen.
the next time I'm late to finish anything, which is constantly in my life. I'll be like,
Yeah.
I'm going faster than this whole thing. So there's that.
Yeah. I just thought that it was, we're going to do what we legally can do to make nothing change. And that's what this feels like. It doesn't feel like anything's going to be any different. I mean, technically, I guess things will be different, but it just
The people
doesn't feel
profiting
like,
will be different.
Yeah. So we'll figure it out.
Some
Won't
people
someone
will make
think of
more
the-
money and others will make less.
Listen, Rob, the big difference is that Larry Ellison will make more money off of this deal.
I mean, that's really
that's
what's
important.
important.
Well, I always felt bad for him.
Me too.
I mean,
He's
been
been
so
struggling.
solidly second,
Yeah.
and he dipped into the first place as the richest person Earth has
And it
ever
was
seen.
brief. It was like less than a day.
I mean, imagine
It's gotta feel
the
bad.
shame and embarrassment of being like, no, now I'm number 2 again. Crap.
I assume you all donate some of your Patreon proceeds to him.
Of course.
Okay,
We're not
right.
monsters, Andrew.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure so I didn't have to leave the live stream. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Waymo is on a bit of a roll this week. The latest is a partnership with Via for public transit, starting in Chandler, Arizona. That is going with Flex's microtransit service. Waymo vehicles will offer rides between $1 and $2 with free rides for students to connect users to destinations and also bus routes. This is a new demographic push through low cost, flat fare rides, and could expand to other cities as well if it goes well.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing that probably seems weird if you don't realize that there are plenty of transit companies around the world that will allow you to rent cars or share buses at peak times or vans. I mean, not buses. And so if you're just thinking like, oh, everybody takes the bus and now they're going to take Waymos, this is more like you don't have to get the shared van or something. You could just get a Waymo to come pick you up. So that's kind of interesting.
I'm also excited. Via used to be very big in New York City, and they stopped operations during COVID and never came back. And so I'm so excited that they were like, we're going to focus on the algorithm, and it's like a ride sharing, but it's quite efficient. It was like Uber, like a shared ride on Uber, but the route was always better, and it kind of would drop you off on a corner, so you wouldn't have to go all the way around it was like really good, and affordable. And so I'm excited to see them back.
Yeah, I mean, what I took from this is, and in Chandler, Arizona, a lot of college students, right? So it's maybe you're just not really close to a bus stop, and it's too far to walk on a certain day.
Yeah.
Maybe it's too hot or it's raining or whatever. And
the buses are like 30 minutes apart or something.
exactly. It's sort of that like last mile type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you're getting to where you want to go, kind of like for Bay Area people, like driving to the BART station, and then you park, and then you take public transportation. It's sometimes you need that extra step.
California's Digital Age Assurance Act, AB 1043, requiring age verification for app downloads, has passed the Assembly and awaits Governor Newsom's signature. The bill allows parents to set user age during device setup to ensure age-appropriate content and screen time. Unlike similar bills in other states, this bill has received support from big tech, including Google and Meta, with Google praising its thoughtful approach to child safety. Governor Newsom has until October 13th to sign the bill. And what's really interesting to me about this is that Google is on board with it, because this bill effectively will make Google have to do more than it's doing right now. This is saying you need to do this verification on the device when you set it up. It has to be done, in the operating system, maybe at the App Store. That's Google's purview. And whenever we've heard this type of thing before, Google was absolutely no, we don't want to be responsible for that. So I was really shocked to see them say that they are on board with this.
Yeah, it doesn't mandate government IDs. It leaves a lot of loopholes, actually. It requires systems to provide an age bracket rather than precise age data. So I think Google was like, this is stuff we already kind of have, and we can make it available pretty easily.
I mean, am I wrong that it sounds kind of like if you go to like Budweiser's website and they say, hey, how old are you? And you say whatever you want. Like, is that kind of the level of security honor system
I think it's more than that.
More than that? Okay.
But yeah, it's less than like, show me your ID.
Right. Not that I would ever lie to Budweiser, just to be clear.
I mean, who would?
I mean,
right?
Yeah.
I've lied to Budweiser. Not on the internet.
The Clydesdales will
in real life,
bombastic side eye.
They'll show up on your doorstep.
I'm just gonna lay it out there.
Yeah.
All right, those are 3 stories that caught our eye this week. But wait, there's more. Meta unveiled its Ray-Ban display smart glasses at Meta Connect this week for $799. You might say that's cheap or that's expensive. It depends on who you are.
Or you might not say anything at all. It would be one of those things.
Or you might say, I don't want these. Despite some live demo hiccups, there were a couple of them, a little cringy. We know that they feature 3K video recording, a 12 megapixel camera with 3x zoom, a full color in-lens display, and 6 hours of battery life, which are extendable to 30 hours if you're using a charging case. So, they're not going to last you all day if you're like recording video all day, but they're going to get you through most of the day. Still a little bulkier than normal eyewear, but they're geared towards everyday use than, say, the Apple Vision Pro, which is $3,500. Very, very different products. They come in black or brown, and Meta says future updates will add voice amplification from friends and real-time UI generation. Neither of those things made a ton of sense to me during the announcement, but I guess Meta's working on some stuff coming down the pike. They're also controlled by a wristband using gestures. So there's very much less of like tapping, the sides of the glasses to do the thing, which I think is more clandestine and maybe more natural, but also a little bit more, privacy issue-ish. What does everybody think about it?
How is it how is the wristband more of a privacy issue for you?
Well, because if I were to be recording something and I were to tap my glasses, someone would be like, "Oh, she's wearing those weird glasses and she's recording now." If I just do flick of the wrist, then that is just a little bit more in the shadows.
Like you can't signal to other people that they're being filmed.
It still has the light though. Right, the light, again,
yeah.
not everybody's going to pay attention to that, but yeah.
But it's more of, it's less of like a, I've got these glasses type thing. And this is not, again, I'm not crazy worried about being filmed without my knowledge from glasses like this, but I know a lot of people are. And so I kind of wonder how the wrist stuff plays into it.
I mean, you'll be wearing a big old fat wristband, so there'll be that giveaway too. And these things are chunky. These are not like the other Ray-Bans.
They're thick.
They're thick. You can tell these are different.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. So you're saying I can't just go on the subway tomorrow and do this, and people will think I'm filming them? Like there's like more to it than.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to need thick glasses and a gray wristband. And
Okay.
then maybe they will.
Then maybe.
Let's just go back into the 50s and then you'd look normal with these.
Well,
That's right.
big oversized glasses are kind of in. So
Yeah.
if you're just wearing them,
Yeah.
a lot of people may not notice unless they see the light, because that's kind of a style. There's people who will just wear glasses that are ginormous,
That's right.
and these fit into that. So I look at these and think they're close. I don't know that they're there yet, but they're getting close. And I also think about the privacy part of it. It's not going to be like when we started putting cameras in cell phones, and literally everyone had a camera wherever they were at all times. We've already gone through that. I think that people will adjust to this really quickly. It's just because right now you just kind of assume that if you're in public, somebody's taking a picture of you, somebody is videoing something anyway. So act accordingly. And I don't think we're going to see a lot of folks that are going to be really freaked out by people have cameras in their glasses.
Yeah.
I think people kind of want to have cameras in their glasses at this point. So I don't think that's going to be a big issue.
Phone cameras arguably can be more clandestine, right?
Yes.
During the announcement where Mark Zuckerberg was wearing the glasses and it was like Mark's view, and so you got a sense of like, oh, this is all the things that he can see and can do while wearing the glasses. Talk to friends, answer emails, take photos. It's not just about recording people. It's about being productive, I guess.
Yeah, the big difference is it's got a little display in the right lens that'll go away when you're not using it, so it's not always hanging there, but it can show you video, so you can do a phone call if you're not Mark Zuckerberg doing a live demonstration.
Right.
And you can record video, you could see the recording of your video. It'll also connect with your phone's camera, and then it could show you what your phone's camera is seeing in there if you're recording with the phone camera. It can do navigation, it can do live captions if someone's talking to you, and even live translation. So yeah, this is going to do a lot more than the Wayfarers do that are audio only. But to your earlier point, Sarah, this is far from trying to be an immersive augmented reality thing.
Right.
At the same time, so when I was watching the announcement, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so distracting. I just would never want this. However, we all remember the days before smartphones when people just walked down the street, and now everyone just looks at their phone as they're walking down the street.
I've collided with two of them in the past week.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's sometimes I'm like, do you see me? Hello. And so, this is an extension of being connected all the time that maybe is just a better idea.
It's a good point, Sarah, because as you're describing it, I'm thinking, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, I'm already struggling with my phone and it's in front of my face all the time. And if I can manage to put it in the other room, that's great. But now it's on my face. But you're right. There maybe is something to having it and it sort of, maybe you forget about it in a way that the device in your hand, you wouldn't.
That said,
I don't want to answer emails with my eyeballs with my friends.
Well, I don't think it can do that yet.
All right.
But it could do a thing where like you would get a notification that a friend messaged you.
Yeah.
And now and you can even dictate a reply to that, but you don't have to pull your phone out and then suddenly see your other notifications and start getting sucked into social media or Substack or anything.
I also wonder how much, anybody who's into smart watches, right? I mean, I'm rocking the Apple Watch, but there are plenty of others. Would I be a good candidate for the glasses? Because I feel like the Apple Watch is a really great example of like, I need to like pull out my phone. Somebody just emailed me, somebody just messaged me, or I got an Amber Alert, like whatever it is.
You got that one too yesterday, did you?
Yeah. But it's like, would I want that and also something that's an AR experience with glasses? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, and the Meta Vanguards, I think, are a more compelling one. They don't have a display. They're just like wraparound Oakleys that they announced. So they're like the current Wayfarers where they just do audio, but they have a camera, and they're meant for pairing with Garmin's. so that you're out skiing or motorbiking or mountain biking or whatever, and then you can get your fitness details read to you in the glasses from the Garmin. So it's kind of I feel like this is not for everyone, like you're saying, Sarah, but in certain cases it's like, oh, I want both.
I'm sort of interested. Someone in the chat mentioned Google Glass, which I was thinking about as well as you were talking about this. And then there's the Apple Vision Pro on the other side. Like, I'm surprised Google isn't more in the regular glasses, given that they've really pioneered a lot of wearables. Like, I'm surprised they aren't.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming next year. Samsung,
all right.
Apple, Google, Lenovo, Xiaomi, like everybody's coming with these. Meta's just the first shot. Of
CES 2026 is going to be interesting.
I have a feeling.
It really is. And I'm registered. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too.
Are you all going to live stream from there?
Yeah, Rob and I are, I think.
Oh, yeah.
You think?
I mean, these days, anything could happen.
It's true. It's true. It's only September 18th.
Yeah.
I thought in 2021 we were going to live stream from CES. And
that's right. That is true. That is true. You never know what's coming at you. Well, if anybody has thoughts on the idea of AR glasses, whether from Meta or another company, and what you would use them for, let us know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. All right, Tom. Mike A. wrote in to note that Australia has begun the process of implementing its ban on social media use for children. And Mike A. wanted to know our take on it. So what's the scoop?
Yeah, age verification. We just heard about California's when we were talking earlier. There's efforts in the UK. There's expanding efforts to restrict particularly children, from using certain things on the internet. Tuesday, Australia's e-Safety Commission issued some guidance on implementing a law that passed last November that would make it the first country to prohibit, or does make it, not would, makes it the first country to prohibit users younger than 16 from using social media at all. Australia's e-Safety Commissioner Julie Inman-Grant is giving the guidance ahead of a December 10th deadline to get implementation done. Companies will be expected to take a multi-layered waterfall approach for age checking, which they would like to be minimally invasive. When I say they, I mean the e-Safety Commission is like, you shouldn't require a government ID. You have to give people other alternatives to prove their age. Government ID should never be the final choice for people to verify their age. Inman-Grant said, they can target us with deadly precision when it comes to advertising. Certainly they can do this around the age of a child. Grant also expects the companies to show ways they have tried to mitigate the use of VPNs to get around the ban. So they're not trying to say, we're going to punish you for any false positive, any false positive or any false negative, but they're saying you have to show that you're doing as much as possible to get rid of accounts of people that are younger 16, stop people who are younger than 16 from getting an account, and stop people from using VPNs to get around the idea of proving your age.
How in the world can you stop people from using VPNs to get around age?
That's my question too.
I know that streaming companies have a lot of methods to try to detect a VPN and stop you from getting around their region blocks. I also know they are imperfect. So I'm guessing what Grant wants is you need to do as much as Netflix does to stop VPNs from getting around this ban, and then we'll be okay. But yeah, there's always going to be a VPN that works if people just try enough of them.
I mean, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, another question I have is that, what if you're not a citizen of Australia? Let's say you're coming in from New Zealand, you're on vacation. Do you have to now tell your kids that they can't use social media while they're there? How is that going to work? And could they use a VPN to get back to their home country to do what they were legally able to do in their home country?
That's a good question.
There's a lot of questions that I still have about how this is going to be truly enforced.
I don't know for sure, and I bet there is an answer in the law. Yeah. However, my educated guess is that because it's at the account level, this isn't people trying to stop you from having a Facebook account. This is at the account level trying to stop existing accounts from being younger than 16, and then December 10th stopping new accounts from being signed up. If you're only in the country for a week, that's probably not enough for Facebook to worry about it. I think they can say like, look, this was only a week. That's why we didn't bother with this account, especially if they know your account was created in another country.
That's right.
So I think there are plenty of ways where that won't be a problem for people, but it's a great question. I wonder if how detailed that is and what kind of exceptions are allowed.
You could imagine a world where you do something if you're traveling to Australia or any other country that has this, where you like you used to have to do for credit cards, you click like, I'm about to travel. I will be logging in from Australia for 2 weeks. So allow me to like set the setting ahead of time.
Yeah.
But you're right. They can also just
Facebook can say like, oh, this account was created in the United States. We're not going to bother cracking down on it unless it's been here for a month. Once it's, or whatever, right? But I'm just picking a month. After a month, then we'll be like, maybe this person moved to Australia. Now we need to pay attention to it.
Right, because otherwise you're in social media tourism where Australians under 16 flock to the United States, set up Facebook accounts, and then flock back.
That's true too, right? Yeah. Because those accounts are not going to, you could go to the US and create an account and then come back. Yeah, so you got to crack down on it at some point.
Maybe there's a half-life on it.
And you don't even need a VPN at that point. You could just like rent a remote, desktop and just like set up an account from that space. I'm curious to know how this all actually plays out, because this is one of those things that's very good for grabbing headlines. But when you start to really kind of like, so how are you going to actually
enforce this?
Yeah.
Well, I think we do tend to expect that every law like this must be 100% effective or it's hypocritical.
Right.
And that's not even what Australia is saying. Australia is saying providers are not required to eliminate all uncertainty, but should seek to minimize harm and ensure decisions are proportionate, fair, and reviewable. So what they're expecting is this will make it hard enough for 90% of kids that it will be effective in their aims. And then, as long as companies are doing their best to try to go after the remaining 10%, the government will be okay with that.
As we've been talking about this, I've been thinking about like in the US, you need to be 21 to drink. Of course, people get fake IDs, people's parents buy them beer, and there's a million workarounds. But in general, over the decades or however long this has been in place, or it was increased from 18, for the most part, people aren't going wild trying to get into bars or I guess 21. Like it's not perfect adherence, but it almost sets a cultural norm as well.
But there's a physical. There's a roadblock in that you physically need to be able to get your hands around the alcohol in order to ingest it. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like it's one thing to say, hey, uncle, whatever, go grab me a 6-pack. Here's $20, and I won't tell mom that you wrecked her car last night. And it's another thing to like not just go over to your cousin's house who just happens to be, over the age of 16. And social media is one of those.
It's enough of a roadblock that a lot of kids are going to be like, it's too much trouble, And some are going to embrace the challenge and go after it. And no matter what you do, they would find a workaround.
I think that for folks that are 12, 13, 14, 15 now that are using it, it's going to be darn near impossible to keep them off of it if they're already addicted to it.
Because they're already there.
They're already
there. That's
there.
where all their friends are.
Yeah, but I think what will happen over time is that you don't have the 8-year-old that gets the phone and automatically is jumping on TikTok. They don't get the account. They never have it. So they just don't have the urge to necessarily be on it. So I think what will happen is that over time, if this bill stays in place, that you'll see better enforcement of it over time because the kids will age out where they can get it back, but the younger kids never were on it to begin with. So they're not necessarily missing as much.
I think
kids and adults alike, we all find things to be too hard, tedious. Right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know, I'll just do something else. That happens to me all the time. So, as a kid, it would be even more so.
It's the reward versus the difficulty, right? If the reward is big enough, if it's like, hey, I get to get access to this exclusive circle of people that I want to be part of, I will do anything to get in it.
But who's there? Because most of the people are not going to be using it anymore. Yeah. Suddenly it's not as attractive.
So this leads to my second follow-up question on this. Say you successfully implement this and it does, for the most part, do everything the legislators want. And the kids move on to something else that they develop into something like a social media, whether it's another platform that has another purpose. But like Roblox, I don't think was ever meant to be the same sort of social media platform in the same way as Facebook. But my kids use it exactly like that.
And Roblox is covered by this law. Roblox is going to do behavioral detection for ID checks. The law contemplates new services coming along and says any service that meets this definition has to follow this law.
I think Rob is onto something though, because it's just kind of reminding me of when I moved to China and we all were told, I was with NYU and they said, just use the NYU VPN if you want to access American social media. And so for the first couple of weeks I was there, I was like logging into Facebook and Instagram and all those things. And over time, every time you wanted to look at Instagram, you had to like re-authenticate. Like that was a little bit annoying. And then the longer I was there, the more of my friends immediately in my life were on WeChat, like the Chinese social media. And so I only needed Instagram if I wanted to talk to my friends from the US, which became less and less interesting to me the longer I was in China. And so I think what Rob is describing, I mean, we may see new alternatives like Animal Crossing, where you're kind of hanging out with your friends or something like that.
But if Tom is correct, then that would eventually be flagged as
it depends on
the
the tools they provide. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I could see it working even with all the issues that are afoot.
Kids will figure out how to talk to each other somehow, right? It's not illegal to group message each other over text. So
the old text. My goal is for children to be alone, but that's more of a separate problem.
Was it last week, Rob, when we were talking about passing notes in class?
Yes, it was.
And I mean, like kids will find a workaround.
Yeah.
You have to know that.
I remember the first time we had these calculators. It wasn't like a TI-84 or whatever. It was some other weird little calculator with a keyboard where we could send a message to a classmate on the other side of the room.
Oh, wow.
And we just thought that was out of control amazing. How we could just message virtually. We didn't even have the word
on a
virtual
calculator.
Yeah, they had
it was
infrared.
a little kind of pink device. You know what I'm talking about?
I know they had like infrared where you could actually send messages from one calculator to another calculator.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like pre-pagers?
Way
type thing?
pre-pager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
See, my generation just had to turn the calculator's LED display upside down. And then
you
show
say
it to each
hello.
other. Yeah.
And boob or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. 143.
Truly, an
one
entire
point.
rich new vernacular was developed at that point.
Yeah.
Well, folks, if you have feedback about anything that gets brought up on the show, get in touch with us on the socials. We're at DTNS Show on X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Mastodon. And for TikTok and YouTube, you can find us at Daily Tech News Show.
Misinformation, something we all constantly navigate. Social media, YouTube, TV, radio, email, you name it. But where does it all come from, and how do we track it? Andrea, I know you've been following this.
Yes, I have. If when in doubt, you can always count on me to come on the show and talk about some data about something depressing, which is what I've been thinking about of late. So misinformation. There we go. So misinformation, it largely comes from DTNS, but other than that, misinformation.
But where else?
Yeah. Well, in addition to that, misinformation is something that I have been spending a lot of time thinking about, and I've been talking to some researchers who are tracking it. And it turns out that figuring out how much misinformation is out there in the first place is its own kind of thorny technical question, kind of like when Elon was trying to figure out how many bots are on Twitter. It's not necessarily obvious. And so I've been speaking with some researchers who've been trying to answer this question. It feels like misinformation is everywhere. Is it? Where is it? How do we know? Because what someone's misinformation, I think this is misinformation. You think that it's not, or something that's true today. And in 3 days, we have a discovery and it's not true. So who gets to decide? So two of the strategies for measuring misinformation, for actually tracking it, are one, more straightforward, but perhaps a narrower definition than we might like, is strictly in the area of fake news. So fake news meaning specifically this is a headline or an article or a domain that is pretending to be a news source and it's simply not. And so you can track those domains, or you can check a domain if someone shares a link from something.com or something creepy. You can check it against other and say this isn't really a media site. So that's one way that researchers are doing it. Another way is very labor intensive, which is you hire a whole bunch of fact checkers from different legacy media sites or other journalism areas and compare. And if the majority thinks something is fake, then it's classified as fake news. AI is a tool that we could eventually use, and we can use, classifiers and other things to automate that. But because misinformation is so slippery, it's still, I think, a surprisingly manual exercise in identifying it. So if we could do it, and given that we've done it in a couple of ways, I thought you all might be interested to hear some of the findings that really surprised me. So I'm curious if this is surprising to you all. So number one of the biggest findings from researchers about how much misinformation is out there is that it's actually not nearly as much as we think it is. In fact, the title of the paper is one of my favorite paper titles ever. It gets right to the point, less than you think. So it turns out, when I think about misinformation, I think about it as it must just be 10% of everything I consume must be misinformation, or it's just kind of floating through the ether all over the internet. It turns out it's much more concentrated, and it's really very few accounts on social media platforms that produce that misinformation. So it's not like everyone is just sort of emanating a bit of it, whether accidentally or on purpose, misinformation, disinformation, rumors, what have you. It's that it really is coming from a handful of concentrated sources. And then certain types of misinformation, particularly with emotional or moral-based language, will go super viral. But I think that's important to track, that it's kind of like, it's a shock that's coming from one big lightning bolt, as opposed to how I had been thinking about it as it's just sort of like general pollution in the air. So that's one pattern. Another pattern that I thought was maybe less surprising is that, let me ask you guys, what age group do you think is most likely to share misinformation? And we're all just going to be wildly ageist as we answer. Do you think
I will, without revealing my age, because I'm only 29.
Of course.
Whoops, I already revealed it. But I would say, it's probably, somebody much older than me.
Sure.
I would guess my father-in-law.
Specifically,
seniors.
I would say anyone of the over the age of 55, of which I have not reached yet.
Got it.
So Roger includes me, but no one else.
I would go probably to early to mid 60s, because you're getting to an age to where those folks did not use computers in school.
So Rob is correct. It's roughly, sort of depending on how you decide to divide up the ages, but Facebook users 65 and over in this particular study were 7 times more likely to share fake news than the youngest demographic. And this is so I kind of felt that way too, where I was like, I don't know, I've been on my parents' Facebook. I see what's going on over there. Like, maybe this isn't that surprising to me. But it was in contradiction to a lot of the legislation, and we're here talking about rules about children getting access to social media, is that when misinformation started being something that policymakers were thinking about, a lot of the policy solutions centered around digital literacy for kids, saying, here's how to fact check, here's how to see what's a real source online. And it totally missed the fact that most misinformation was being shared by older people. And so that's a finding that maybe is consistent with some stereotypes, but actually is a totally different policy recommendation.
And your critical faculties start to degrade as you get older. I mean, it happens to all of us. So this is not, just taking pot shots at a generation. It's anybody as they get older has a harder time figuring out fraud and abuse and all that.
Right. You think about that with robocalls and scams and those sorts of things. So the other trend that will probably make some people angry when I mention it is that it does also seem that people who self-identify as on the conservative or right-leaning side of the political spectrum in the United States are also more likely to share fake information, particularly in the form of fake news. It's not to say that people on the left do not, but people on the left and the right share news. And they share links, but it's much more likely to be identified as false either through this fake news domain checking or through this suite of fact checkers to indicate that it's false. And that's, a politically charged thing to say. It's certainly something that will make you unpopular in a lot of social circles. It probably will make me unpopular on the internet for saying it. But it also means that if you have policies in place like Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg talked about rolling back fact checking, and you have different debates about what role fact checking is or providing context is on X, and other social media content moderation policies, gets very tricky, because if you have a moderation policy that, say, effectively identifies and shuts down the spread of 90% of fake news, if most of that fake news is coming from one side of the political spectrum, it's going to look like those platforms are silencing or censoring asymmetrically. And so it will look biased when in fact it's the supply that's biased. And so this just very quickly gets very thorny when we think, well, gosh, what do we do about misinformation? And so regular old fact checking becomes this politicized thing that we can't really solve, because we'll say, okay, you're upset that this got taken down, but 10 of our links got taken down.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I want to say, just to really make us all depressed, that blew my mind when I got into the weeds on this, is that it turns out that a lot of the most what many researchers consider harmful information out there is actually correct information shared without context. So I don't want to assume anyone's views on vaccines, but for example, one of these studies traced that one of the most influential pieces of information, links that was shared during COVID, that was cited as a reason for many people's vaccine hesitancy or vaccine skepticism, was an article about a doctor in Chicago who got the COVID vaccine and then died 2 weeks later. He didn't die from the vaccine. He just got the vaccine. 2 weeks passed. He died. But if you just tell that story with a couple of those facts and the rest of it left out, that's not going to get flagged as misinformation. It could very well come from a reputable news source. And it went everywhere. And it was cited very strongly as a reason that people were skeptical of vaccines. So any intervention technologically that says, well, all right, let's stop misinformation. If we can get past the political debates around it, and we can agree on what's misinformation, and we can stop it and deal with the asymmetries, it's still a challenge, because true information can still be misleading. So it's quite slippery. One study, I was looking at this a little bit more, and this is the last thing I'll say on it for today, because I'll never stop talking about it. But one is that people who do share misinformation are more likely to share articles that lack that context, that give you a broader picture. So one clue, if you wanted to say, okay, are people sharing an article in bad faith, is if you can pinpoint that they have previously also shared misinformation, there seems to be a correlation. This co-sharing is something that happens. So again, this goes back, though, to this idea that it's not so much that misinformation is just floating around willy-nilly. It's individual actors, in some cases, very influential ones. Sometimes they're leaders. Sometimes they're people with tons and tons of followings. But it's more a source of individual people than it is something that's just sort of running amok. And the kind of analogy that I've been sitting with, and this is just my own analogy, is, I had previously thought of misinformation as like microplastics. Like, we just have this idea that it's sort of everywhere and it's pretty bad and you can try to avoid it, but it's not. And instead, I'm now thinking about it more like lead paint or like mercury, where it's like most of us actually are probably not encountering it, but when we do encounter it, it's really, really, really bad.
I think, too, that one of the things that this bears out is my suspicion that misinformation is a problem of persuasion, right? When someone wants to believe something and or is uncertain about something, they are more susceptible to misinformation. And somebody who has a vested interest in persuading you of something will use misinformation to help them persuade you.
Yes.
Which is why I'm not surprised that they found conservative and right-leaning misinformation more often, partly because some of the fact checkers are a little bit left-leaning, so there'll be a false detection, but more because conservatives were at least perceiving themselves as out of power. I'm curious in the current climate as that's changing, and we're seeing anecdotally more misinformation coming from left-leaning actors, whether that changes. I'll be curious if continued studies happen, if that stays the same, if there's something intrinsic to the ideology, or if it's just simply like when you're out of power, when you perceive that you don't have as much control, you tend to push more misinformation.
It's a great question, and it's one of those where, the really good research usually takes a few years, and you're like, okay, everyone, I know it feels bad and scary. Give us 3 years and some peer review, and we'll roll out. But you raise a great point, and Tom, this also makes me think of another issue that comes up with misinformation, which is what one scholar, Joshua Tucker at NYU, calls first-order problems and second-order problems. So a first-order problem with misinformation is I see something that's false and I think it's true. And that's kind of what we tend to think about.
Right.
A second order problem is I see something that's true, and because I think misinformation is everywhere, I assume it's false.
Yeah.
And in some cases, and maybe more so on the left at this point, that's speculation, maybe because we all perceive misinformation to be such a huge problem, I can use my motivated reasoning and someone can put a piece of information in front of me, and if I don't agree with it, my confirmation bias will say, that's probably fake news. It's probably misinformation. And so it's a two-way problem as well. And from what I can gather, it seems like AI is accelerating this, because you can just
Because you can churn out more.
Churn out
can
tons of
pump out
false
so
stuff. You
much
can
of it.
churn out tons of factually correct stuff. And
You
it's
can
just
paint more
noise
rooms
to
with lead
process.
paint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone subscribe for your free bucket of lead paint at the end of this. Yeah. But I felt like all of the work, while it's depressing, I find it at least clarifying, because I just sort of
Definitely.
lie awake at night stressed about everything. And it's like, well, could we get our heads around what this problem actually looks like?
Exactly, because then you can actually worry about the things that might make a difference.
Right.
Like you said, if you think, well, misinformation is everywhere, it feels like you're hopeless. But when you find out it's actually not, but it's coming from sources, then you're like, oh, well, now we can do something to counter those sources.
Right.
If we want to do something to counter it, because I think a big problem is that people now really want to pick their news. I like this, so I want to hear news from them. And if it's coming from someone I don't like, I don't believe it regardless of whether it's true or not, because I just don't like
Andrea
them.
was talking about.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
And we're also up against, very curated algorithmic news that's being fed to us specifically because it's consistent with things I've clicked on in the past. Again, whether it's true or false, if I only read news about one particular event, I'm going to start forming this view that this event is the most important thing ever. And I'm not going to think about all these other things. Even if there's no misinformation anywhere, I'm still going to have a warped view. So have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
As we're talking about AI tools like ChatGPT, for example, are being used more and more all the time, every single day. But how they're used may surprise some people, right, Rob?
That is absolutely right. So there's a groundbreaking study released by OpenAI in collaboration with Harvard economist David Deming, detailing how people utilize ChatGPT. The really interesting thing was that 73% of conversations are for personal stuff. This is up from 53% a year ago. So that's a pretty significant jump. People are using it for everything from getting advice and finding information to helping them write. And it's not just tech savvy folks that are doing this. More and more people across different genders and income levels, especially in lower and middle income countries, are jumping on board. So I thought this was really interesting. There was a lot of takeaways, but I kind of focused in on three of them. I think one of the biggest one here is that the significant shift towards non-work usage. I mean, to jump 20% in a year is pretty epic, and it's not jumping at that level on the business side of things. So growth is faster in non-work related ChatGPT usage compared to work related usage.
That makes a lot of sense when you see all of those things about, like, maybe coders are getting some productivity, maybe not, but most other companies are starting to go, well, we're not seeing a huge productivity spike like we expected.
So I don't want to go as far to say that, that AI is not going to displace people, because it already has started doing that. I just don't think it's doing it at the clip that we initially thought that it was. And this is really kind of showing that. It's like, wait, businesses aren't the ones who are using this, fervently. It is individual users who are using it to be more productive. The second big takeaway was focus on getting everyday tasks done. So it kind of points to the same thing. 3/4 of monitored conversations fall into three broad categories: practical guidance, seeking information, and writing. So once again, this is stuff that regular people are doing to help them out in their everyday lives, not necessarily at work. It could go towards that, but these are people using their personal ChatGPT accounts as compared to businesses asking their users to use their ChatGPT accounts.
Yeah, because we are less concerned about privacy and security than companies are usually.
I don't feel nervous going to ChatGPT and saying, here are the reasons I'm sad, but I wouldn't do it in my work.
Which burrito
Gemini
should I
or whatever.
eat?
Well, I mean, there's spurious stuff you can do on your own time and you don't feel bad about it. But if you right, like I could go to an In-N-Out in my car. I don't feel bad. If I take the company car, the DTNS mobile, I would feel a little bad, right?
Great car.
Yeah, I would feel bad too, because I didn't know we had one.
I assume the
I would
DTNS
feel
mobile
bad
is a
because you
Waymo.
feel bad. Eat the burger.
No, it's but it's like getting a burger run on like the company dime, so to speak. Like there is especially because a lot of people are sort of fearful of losing employment. They tend to be a little more strict about how they comport their AI behavior.
And so many of us have been through a variety of HR departments, right? It's like, you know what you can do and you know what you can't do. Now, not everybody gets that right, but they let you know. The whole thing about ChatGPT, and I have a handful of friends who were like, oh yeah, like for like mental health, it's great. And, it's like, is it? And I tried it out the other day just to be like, hi, I'm, I don't even remember what I said, but, it is, you can get hooked pretty quick. Just being like, oh, wow, it's a friend, but like a friend that doesn't really know me. So they're going to tell me the exact thing I need to hear and not try to like placate me at the same time.
A weird run-in. I deliberately sat down and made it happen. But interaction with ChatGPT over the summer, I was feeling very listless, didn't know what to focus on. And I said, ChatGPT, tell me what's getting in my way. Give me the hard truth. And I ended up talking to ChatGPT a few times each day for about a week or two, where ChatGPT would say, okay, why don't you try this? And then check back in and blah, blah, blah. And for a couple of days, I was like, this is for real. I can stop spending money on therapy. And then after about 4 days, I was like, oh, we're sort of cycling through the same kind of BuzzFeed helpful talking points. And it was not, there was a pretty strong limit to what it would do. The concern really for me more is if you are someone who cannot afford a therapist, or maybe could, but thinks ChatGPT is a substitute, but you really do need a human's help, then you may not get the help that you need because you're taking I don't know if it's better than nothing, but I was like, okay, I feel very privileged that I can go back to a human now. And I know a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I don't ask ChatGPT those kind of questions because I'm concerned about the bias. I am being affected by what is fake news and what is not fake news, because I think that, particularly, for some demographics, it may be very harmful to trust what some of these things are saying.
True.
But the one thing that I do is this third takeaway. ChatGPT is an advisor and productivity tool. About half the chats fall into the asking questions category. And this is where I am. Now, it's not ChatGPT for me, it's Gemini. But I can definitely tell you that since I started using Gemini, I use it a lot. I use it multiple times a day, and it is just now my assistant. So I am very, very commonly saying, hey, go check my calendar. What do I have coming up? These kind of things, because that kind of stuff, it just works so well for it.
It's funny because I do the exact same thing. I'm looking up things like as disparate as like, how do I get to the county courthouse to find certain records that aren't digitized? How do I do this A, B, or C? How do I wire like this particular timer box without electrocuting myself and not turning off the power? But what I find is
you get the right answer on that one.
It's just a better search tool, because oftentimes your searches are, how do I da 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 da, and hopefully there's a forum. There's a subreddit or something with a similar title. The great thing about like Gemini is it sort of just parses out what you're looking for, and it gives you up a bunch of answers. Now, I'll say it's far from perfect. It has maybe a 70% success rate in giving me answers that actually are verifiably correct. But it's much better than sifting through a bunch of empty, dead, threads on like, some like plumbing forum about what kind, whether you use plumber's putty, plumber's tape, or whatever to screw these two bits together. And I definitely I use it a lot more than I thought I would.
To your point, Roger, this is where these bots, not just ChatGPT, but just most of them, they really are good, because back in the old days, like 3 years ago, we would just ask, we would ask a search engine, and we would get a list of links, and that's not what I meant. Let me go back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what I meant. Let me go back. But now you're
find the seark. We're finding the search.
An answer, and you say, wait a minute. What about if this, and that? And it immediately just, it rejiggers itself, and it's like, oh, maybe this is what you meant. And that's really useful. And as I said, as a personal assistant, this thing works well, to the point to where I used to be a huge user of an application called Todoist. I stopped using Todoist just because Google Task integrates with Gemini. I can just talk to my phone or talk to my assistants, and it just puts stuff on my calendar, tells me what I have coming up, all that kind of stuff that we always thought that personal assistants would do well. This stuff is doing it extremely well.
Oh, maybe I should try that. Although someone in the chat commented this, but I've been using ChatGPT pretty freely, but there are real environmental concerns and energy usage and things like that eventually. Just to Debbie Downer my way through this episode.
I mean, it's interesting because search has the same issue, but out of sight, out of mind. So tell me, plumber's tape or plumber's cement when I put two brass plumbing parts together?
Roger, I like that everything you look up is stuff I have never looked up in my life.
It is.
The Venn diagram does not overlap.
It is one of the curses of the current time in my life.
I see.
Yeah. Roger's a DIY guy.
Wow.
Yes, that's a very generous way to put it.
A DI guy.
We have a lot of DIY folks in our audience. So, in that vein, let's check out the mailbag.
Andrew from Colorado writes, I had a teacher who did exactly what you suggested about bringing kids into the high school security world back in the 90s. I was in an intro to CAD class because I wanted to do anything with computers. I'd already torn through the basic class and I did the first week's assignment in a day. So the teacher asked me and one other student to try to hack our machines because they were supposed to be locked down and only run AutoCAD. We eventually learned that AutoCAD plugin system that just ran arbitrary EXEs, and so we could launch Windows games as plugins. So I got really good at Minesweeper and CAD that year.
Oh, Andrew. Oh, yes. Bless your heart. I know the feeling. Definitely. Being like, this is not really secure. Let's just do whatever we want to do at our AutoCAD class.
Back in the day, there was definitely a time when we would figure out how can we actually make this DLL do something completely opposite of what it was supposed to do, or something really cool that we just wanted to do. That was probably back in the late 80s for me, but that was definitely a fun time.
Remember, you can send in your comments to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com if you have, just a fun story like Andrew sent in to us, or just anything that resonates with you that we talk about. Of course, if you're a patron, you can comment on anything we post to Patreon as well.
Big thanks to Len Peralta, who has been illustrating today's show. Len, what have you drawn for us?
I am really tired. And a lot of it has to do with the topic about fake news, misinformation, and stuff like that. So I think this image sort of wraps up how I feel about things.
Wow.
That is visceral.
I think you're hitting the mark on
Yes.
that one.
I think a lot of us can sort of relate to this feeling. This is called Let It Rain. This image. And if you'd like to see it, you can go to my online store, lenperaltastore.com, where you can also purchase it. Or also, if you are a Patreon, you back me at my Patreon, you can get it at the DTNS lover level right away. It's right up there. It'll be there in a couple minutes. So thank you so much. And that's not fake news. That is all real news. So.
Yeah, that's real. Andrea Jones-Rooy, so nice to have you on the show as always. Bring in the knowledge. Let folks know where they can keep up with the rest of your work.
Sure. No, it's always lovely to join. Thanks for having me. You can follow my podcast, Behind the Data, at behindthedatashow.com. You can hear even more about misinformation, and you can hear about the most recent fuss around jobs data. And every now and again, we talk about fun things like the Milky Way and happiness. And things that aren't quite so depressing as well. So behindthedatashow.com. And Roger's our producer, and Thomas helped a bunch, so it's all part of the DTNS ecosystem as well.
Folks, during the show, you've been submitting titles over at dtns.showbot.tv, and we've got a bunch of submissions and votes over there. So let's just go through a few of them. Right here at the top, Secret Camera Time from Philly Codehound.
Stop. Secret camera time.
Secret camera time.
Can't touch it.
Let's see it. Good night and
that's
good
it.
duck. Batthink 2.
Good night and good duck.
I forgot about the
Good
duck
night
at the
and
beginning.
good duck.
Get it?
That's a
Get
good
it?
one,
Yeah.
Batfang.
Yeah.
Let's see here. A Social Media Ozfest by Fred819.
Nice. Sarah would lie to Budweiser. Yes, she would.
That's a good one.
And I have.
Yep.
And I will.
Sarah went back to
Probably.
Ohio. There's a whole story about Sarah in these times.
Yeah. Sarah went back to Ohio.
I went to
It was
Ohio
fun.
once. I went to a golf course right across the border from Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't
Sarah
want to
Lane
answer
is
It was
29.
it was a fun
Yeah.
day. I'm also 29. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Come on, we don't even have to submit these kinds of titles.
These are just
Everyone knows
facts.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, they wanted to submit non-misinformation. That's why.
Interesting.
Well, Sarah, what did we decide to go with today?
Well, Rob, even though we had lots of titles, we can only pick one, and we went with Fred 819's Misinformation 2025.
That is a title to be proud
That's
of.
you
Here
get
they
your
come.
crown,
This
and you
misinformation.
yes.
I like
Isn't
it.
she beautiful? Miss Misinformation
Harvey mispronounced her
2025.
name.
They're all wearing gowns.
Still a
with
great
pen
night.
Artwork on it.
Let's thank everybody who makes this show possible, including the folks watching us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, giving us shout outs on YouTube and things over there. We got folks watching us on Twitch who subscribe. Purple Yoda 99 just followed us. Welcome, Purple Yoda 99. We also got C-Spawn giving us some bits. Zoe brings bacon as well. Nainu is back at tier 1 for the 42nd month. Ryan in Minneapolis subscribed for the 21st month. Got to give you all my free Prime bucks, he says. Big thanks to everyone who supports us there and everywhere, including Patreon. If you are a patron, this show is not going to end now like it will for everyone else because we stream more on patreon.com/DTNS. In fact, Roger has outdone himself. We are going to cast ourselves in a fantasy shortly. If you want to find out what that means, stick around.
You can watch us live every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, which is 2000 UTC, and you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Be sure to keep up with Daily Tech headlines and Daily Tech News Show briefing all week, plus weekly Live With It episodes. We've got new hangouts throughout the week and some bonus weekend content as well. As Tom mentioned, we're about to have a very fun game for patrons as soon as we stop this show. It should be fun. Everyone else, see you next Thursday.
This episode of DTNS Live was created by the following people. Producer and host Sarah Lane. Host Tom Merritt. Host Robb Dunewood. Producer Roger Chang. Video producer Joe Kuntz. Producer at large Anthony Lemos. Social media producer and moderator Zoe Detterding. Our mods: Beatmaster W. Scottus1, BioCow, Captain Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, aka Gadget Virtuoso, and J.D. Galloway. Mod and video hosting from Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Luters. Art by the inimitable Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Bobby Wagner. Our guest this week was Andrea Jones-Rooy. And thanks to all our patrons who make the show possible.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Loved it.
Bop.